And knowing the situation in the Middle East right now, we also have something else going on simultaneously. It is the split of Russia after some border skirmishes and a quick dart down with all the material they have into Moscow. Siberia gets its independence. With this, we have the split being right around here. Russia doesn't really care too much because most of this is just nothing, but especially with the death of Vladimir Putin, just before this, we have a new, much more tamer government be settling this. Um, with this, we also have the stand situation being resolved, with this little territory being completely split between the two countries. Technically, this is an empire, but whatever. Um, Back over in the mess that is the Middle East, we have Saudi Arabia getting all its troops to push into Kuwait, liberating the country, and starting to threaten Iraq and Iran. With this, the Middle East sees no point in continuing. Because this whole thing, it's just a freaking mess. What have I created? Jesus. You know when you just regret your entire life? At that point, Jesus, what have I done? Um, so with this, we're going to be having a lot of border gore. We have the UAE getting a nice dip out of Iran, as well as Al Yalmin. We also have the situation right over here with the troops being cleared up as they are squeezed out into the sea. Um, I didn't mean to make this so terrible looking, Jesus. Um, we have Azerbaijan finally being able to connect with their exclave because they're allowed to get a pretty decent dip into Iran and Iraq just so they can connect it. And we do not have Armenia being completely wiped out. That's for once. Um, we eventually have the border being solved. This looks too much like Angelus. Jesus. Um, we have Syria just being Syria and just fine. We have Syria not being Syria, I should say, and finally settling down. Israel gets all their claims and stuff. Over in Jordan, we have them getting a pretty decent border expansion into Iraq. Um, and they get a bit of a nice dip. They're able to further connect with Syria, and Turkey decides to go half Ottoman on Iran and the countries. So now Iraq just doesn't exist. That's great. I mean, it's not great, but it's not supposed to be great, but you know, Saudi Arabia decides to just get a lot of stuff. Great, more oil. They also decided to finally start actually selling oil for good prices this time, and so we don't have to do war at this point. With Saudi Arabia getting a pretty decent dip into Iran. Um, and for Georgia, they can't really get anything, so we just have them getting lots of money because of this. Um, Turkey decides after this war, they start pushing back on their censorship laws. Um, and over in Israel, the country decides to just stay colored in because that looks good. Oman, um, Oman is finally out of the war as well as the UAE. Now that was a lot to take in, but it's the Middle East. You should have expected that, to be honest. But whatever. We have Chad and the Central African Republic uniting. Because now that it looks even more like the Chad memes. That's always kind of cool, I guess. We have the Democratic Republic of the Congo pretty sure where's the Congo? Please tell me I got this right. Yes, I got it. Africa's a mess. Culturally, maybe. Borderly, absolutely. We have the unification with them also signed to become states. We have the Ivory Coast or Cote d'Ivoire Union being eventually established, and it becomes the the United States of West North and Northern West Africa. The United States of Northwestern Africa becomes a country, and that looks really good. That should be real life as well. We have the situation of Morocco and the Western Sahara being solved, and we also have Mexico and the Central American countries decide to all just unite together. And they all become states as well, and they're all self-governing, but they decide they're more powerful together, so might as well. We have a split, but then we have the war happening. It's a split in Cuba. Um Over here we have the regular Cuban government, and it's become much more kind of free-ish. But over here we have like not like old Cuba, but like old Cuba on steroids, I would say. So it's like a much more extreme version of communism. We also have a subdivision in this division, being with anarcho-communists, and that's just a whole crap show. And another subdivision in normal Cuba, with anarcho-capitalist. So this whole thing, it's just horrible. So now we have anarchism. That's horrible. Um, so now we're gonna be having this war settle out. The anarcho-communists are supporting the communists, the extreme communists, and the anarcho-capitalists are supporting the communist. I know that sounds awful, but it works. Okay. Well, I should say the liberal communist, I guess, or the reform communist. And there's a train outside my house. That's gonna cause a lot. That's definitely not gonna cause noise, is it? And I don't feel like editing this video because this will be like freaking long. Cause um um so now we're gonna be having to push into the extreme communist. So with this, the normal Cuban government starts pushing in and is able to cause a split, and they start pushing in and they're able to take out the anarcho-communists, which anarcho-communism shouldn't even be a thing because it doesn't even sound right. Anarchism and communism, yep, definitely sounds normal. And eventually they're completely wiped out. But now Cuba decides to turn their backs onto the anarcho-capitalist, who are now going to be represented by the color of red. Please, God, why? So now we have Cuba getting a decent push into the capitalist, and it's eventually just completely taken out. So now we have Cuba becoming slightly more liberal as well. Over in Venezuela, the occupation finally ends. Um, and now we have Chile deciding to expand its borders into Bolivia and Peru. The war breaks out, and this is what's going to happen. We see Chile, the very, 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 very thin and long country, pushing up into Peru, and as well as fortifying the position in Bolivia until Peru is able to gain the military advantage and starts to push them out. Although Chile is still able to expand over into Bolivia, and eventually a peace is signed. So with this, we have Peru getting a little bit out of Chile, and we also have Chile getting a little bit out of Bolivia. That's a cursed sentence. And now Chile is just almost the same. That was pointless. We have Haiti and the Dominican Republic going to war, with Haiti being the aggressor after it's overthrown by rebels. And now these rebels are pretty deadly, but whatever. So with this, Cuba also decides to join in and attack the rebels. And the Dominican Republic is obviously the other blue team force in this. So this war starts off with a border skirmish from someone with Haiti trying to get into the Dominican Republic so he can fly to the Bahamas and eventually end up in America. With this, Cuba makes a decent landing into Haiti, and the Dominican Republic starts to push out until the red team is able to fully push out Cuba, and they start making massive ambitions into the Dominican Republic and is able to split it off. Although blue team rebellion is happening in Haiti due to seriously we're still suffering from this freaking earthquake, and you're attacking other countries seriously. So Haiti's pretty screwed right now until they eventually able to almost completely take out the Dominican Republic after they push through. This does come at a cost, though, as Cuba, using the help of the rebels, is starting to push back Haiti. So we see a bit of a domino effect. Every push Haiti makes, they lose something. So we are not trying to end up into the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. I mean, it's not really the middle, but you know what I mean. We see this continuing to happen. Haiti gets a bit of the Dominican Republic, and Cuba gets a bit of Haiti, and it just sort of continues until the Dominican Republic it is completely wiped out. I mean, it's mildly liberated, but this eventually that does lead to Haiti just becoming to an end, though. Eventually, peace is signed, and Haiti has to just back off at this point. So after we get rid, so now we're fixing this border with Dominican Republic, just getting all of Haiti, except for a little part which Cuba decides to take. Um, over in America,